Welcome to the Credit Concept, the Concept of Credit podcast. I am your host, credit coach Nicole Scott, where we talk about the concept behind credit and how you can have the best credit score and credit profile possible so you can leverage your credit to the best of your ability. And again, you have to apply the concept of credit to each of these different areas in your credit profile. So make sure that you have watched all of the episodes of the Concept of Credit podcast, because we are going to literally give you the game on how you should structure your credit report and, build concept around credit so you can have good credit for the rest of your life, not just temporarily, okay? But you can maintain it and you can understand the concept behind it all. In today's podcast, we are going to be talking about how to settle accounts. This is a very interesting topic, to say the least. Now, there are a number of different ways that we can go about this, but I'm going to streamline it for you guys and just go over, hey, this is what I would do. This is what I would advise you of if I were you. So I'm going to give you the real deal. Now, the first step that you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to dispute any of the accounts that you are considering to settle with, right? Because you want to validate that they're able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this debt actually belongs to you and truly you, right? You can challenge them on the debt. There's a number of different ways to challenge creditors and the credit bureaus on this debt actually belonging to you, because at the end of the day, there is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and if they don't have the proper documentation to prove that this actually belongs to you when you challenge it, then of course they have to remove it from your credit report. I like to call it the prove it or remove it method, okay? If they can't prove it, they got to remove it. But if they are able to prove it and you are satisfied with the proof that you've received, you're like, hey, I'm going to own up to it. This belongs to me. At this point in my life, I've disputed it a few times and I just want to settle this debt, right? But you want to make sure that it has been validated and they have proved that it actually belongs to you, because a lot of times they're not able to prove it, so they got to remove it. And now, as far as settlement goes, there's a lot of different ways that you can settle debt, right? You can do what's called a pay for deletion. And a pay for deletion can be very simple, but you have to understand what accounts these would qualify for. Pay for deletions do not qualify for accounts that are with original creditors. Pay for deletions qualify for third-party debt collection companies, because at this point you already have the original account, which is reported as a zero balance and, probably closed, and they're no longer actively reporting it because they sold the debt. They wrote it off on their taxes, right? But they sold the debt to ABC Collection Company. So ABC Collection Company is actively reporting this account as a derogatory collection account on your credit profile. Well, you can contact ABC Collection based on the information that's on your credit report. All of their information by law must be listed on your credit report. If you don't have a copy of your credit report, I highly recommend watching some of my videos, getting your credit reports using Smart Credit, because it gives you all three of your credit reports side by side, so you can easily point out the differences, and it gives you all of your creditor contacts at the very bottom of the credit report. So you have their address, their phone number, their name, all of the ways to contact them, and you can contact them directly so you can settle with them, okay? So they're no longer going to be reporting a derogatory collection account. Now, some creditors will agree to do a pay for deletion, right? Because they, are willing to accept your settlement offer in exchange for deleting the collection account from your credit profile. Okay, that would be the ideal solution, right? They just delete it after we pay them. However, if you are doing a settlement, you need to be prepared to pay them the amount that you have agreed upon right then and there. one lump sum payment. They will not accept payment plans. Once you have paid the account, then they will remove it from the credit bureaus, and that can take up to 30 days for the credit bureaus to process it. Okay. Now, I would get some sort of verification from them if they can email you something, if they can send something to you quickly that would just verify the agreement terms. Hey, if I make this payment of, $3,000, right? But the original balance owed, according to them, was $6,000, but I'm agreeing to pay 50 cents on the dollar to settle this debt with this third party if they delete the account from my credit profile. And I'm willing to pay them a one-time lump sum payment of $3,000 to settle this debt. And they have agreed to delete it from my credit profile once payment is processed, right? That would be an ideal pay for delete this situation, right? But not every collection company out there is willing to do pay for deletions, okay? Some of them will simply say, no, we're not going to delete it from your credit profile. Well, you can battle with them and say, look, if you're not willing to remove it from my credit profile, there's no point in me paying you, because I don't want to pay you and then still have a collection or derogatory account listed on my credit profile. So if you simply can't remove the account, you would need to agree to update the status or provide me with documentation so we can update the status to closed with a zero balance. It does not have to be listed as a collection, because it can be listed as a closed status, because that's just basically going to prove that we paid it. There's a zero balance and we paid it, right? And I always recommend that you try to get something in writing from these people. But typically, the more well-known establishments, are going to be good for their word, but you want to try to see if they can send you something in writing before you do it. And a lot of times, if you get off the phone, the deal's off the table. So you just want to see if they can send you an email while you're waiting on the phone to go ahead and do the settlement offer. So that way you can just make sure that it's, legit, you have it in writing. If something were to go wrong, obviously, you have it, and they would need to also advise them that you paid, right? Because you want to make sure that you get a receipt after payment as well. Before, you want to get the initial agreement, and then after payment, you want to get a receipt of the confirmation saying, hey, I made this payment, you've agreed to remove it, or you've agreed to update the status of this account to closed, settled, a zero balance, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't want any sort of terms that are going to be considered derogatory listed on our credit profile. And derogatory terms are collection, charge off, the word derogatory. If you have late payments, that is considered, a derogatory offense. Might not be listed as derogatory, but that does fall under the concept of derogatory. So we want to make sure to pay all our bills on time. But we're looking for the accounts that have the derogatory status. Those are the accounts that are probably actively affecting you, that you need to figure out what you're going to do. You can dispute it with the credit bureaus and the creditors, right? But if you plan to settle the account, we need to get that done, because it's not going to just go away, right? It's continuing to hinder your ability to have a good credit score. And if you need to get a copy of your credit report so you actually know what's on your credit report, you need to do that in the links in our description. We are going to leave our credit reports link down there for Smart Credit, so you can get all three bureaus side by side, get your 3B report, and you can go through your credit report and you can determine what you need to do. Or if you want us to do it, we have a small credit repair program that we offer to select clients if we have open availabilities. We only have limited availabilities, so sometimes we might not have a spot open. So if we do, you can reach out to us, support@creditcoachpros.com, where we can go over if you would be a good candidate for our credit repair program and see if we can accept you in, okay? But if you want to do this on your own, you could totally do it disputed with the creditors. They're on your credit report. You can settle with them. You can settle. A good settlement number is between 30 cents and 50 cents on the dollar. If you can go lower than that, great. But typically, that's going to be where the most common settlement offers are going to be, is between that 30 to 50% range. We never want to settle with the first number that they offer us. We want to tell them like a really, really low number, like hundreds of dollars lower than you were actually willing to provide them to start off with, because we need to negotiate with them first. Okay. And we need to try to get it for much, much lower. Like if it's 5,000 that you're like owing, we're going to try to go for like, hey, we can give you $1,750 or $1,800 cash right now. If they laugh, obviously we're going to have to come up on that number, but at least we're letting them know this is our starting point, right? And I want to settle this debt. I also want to settle it fair, because there were some billing disputes that I had with this account, which is why we're where we are now. So I feel a fair number to settle this account in full and get it passed in my past would be $1,700, right? You just keep it brief. That's all you have to do. So again, guys, my name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott. You just want to try to turn any derogatory account into a positive. Set up a payment plan if you have to, because sometimes we cannot necessarily make that one-time lump sum payment, and they would be willing to set up payment arrangements with you where you can pay an amount every single month until it's paid off. But of course, it's still going to be reported on your credit. It just won't necessarily, you can let them know, hey, while I'm paying this, I want this to be updated as paid, or paying as agreed. I want the derogatory mark to be off so we can turn it into a positive, okay? And just apply that same concept to all of your credit accounts. Turn them into a positive. Make sure they're being paid on time. If they're on your credit report, they need to be settled. They need to be handled. You need to deal with the original creditor, whoever that might be, whether it's student loans, child support, taxes, whatever is a reporting on your credit. Go to the original source and deal with the source, because we got to deal with our old past. It's not going to just go away. We got to deal with it and get it done and move on, okay? And start building positive accounts. Make sure that you have got our free credit building guide. I'll leave a link below so you can start building a positive credit profile. We'll leave the link below for Tradelines if you want to enhance your credit score, credit profile with Tradelines. That's a great way and the fastest way to boost your credit score. And, watch the next podcast about Tradelines. Tradelines are a great way to boost your credit score. Again, guys, my name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott. I am your host of the Credit Concept, the Concept of Credit podcast. Thank you so much for joining in today.